We come to verse 38 of the 8th chapter of the Gospel of John. In this verse, Jesus is continuing to make comments to these who are the adversaries of him in this conversation he's having in the temple area. He's offered to them freedom that can only come by persisting in their faith in him, but of course they immediately fixate on that term freedom, protesting that they've never been enslaved to any man. Jesus has pointed out to them that if they commit sin, then they are a slave of sin, but the Son can set them free. But he also indicates to them that they are continuing to do the work which would lead them into slavery, that they are not in fact free, but that they are giving evidence of their ongoing bondage to the great tyranny in their lives of sin. They have claimed to be Abraham's seed. That was the justification for their proposition that they've never been enslaved to any man. And Jesus acknowledges that they are in some sense the seed of Abraham. They are lineal descendants, biologically speaking, from him. And yet he draws contrast between that statement and their conduct, saying that even though they are seed of Abraham in some sense, they're seeking to kill him. And that leads him to the observation we have now in verse 38. This is the neuter plural relative pronoun, that which, it's in the accusative here. Ego, the presence here would make it emphatic, so that which I, with emphasis. Heoraka, this is from harao. Harao means to see. It usually is used metaphorically as to see in the sense of understanding something, seeing it clearly, grasping it. In this case, we have the first person singular perfect active indicative, that which I have seen or have understood and continue to understand. Para, with the dative here, usually means with, so para, preposition taking the dative in this case, with to patri, with the Father, lalo, I speak, from laleo, I speak. This is the first person singular, present active indicative of this contract verb. So that which I have seen and continue to see with my Father, implying not simply something that reaches back into some sort of prior condition or prior state when Christ was with the Father in that Trinitarian relationship, but now even presently, as he continues his ministry, he continues to be with the Father and to understand things, see things as it were, with the Father. Now drawing the contrast, kai humes, and the humes here is to be seen in distinction to the ego there. So I do this and you do that, and the whole idea is there's a sharp contrast. And you, therefore, now again the same relative pronoun, that which, ekusata, this is from akuo, to hear. In this case, it's the second person plural, aorist active indicative. So there's a little bit of a difference. Heoraka was the perfect. This is simply the aorist. It's a little bit softer, and also the word itself, heoraka, would have to do with a clear and comprehensive grasp of something. This is simply to hear it. It's a more diminished idea. And then he says, para to patros, from the Father, rather than with the Father. And then poieta, second person plural, present active indicative of poieo, to make or to do. So we do have a kind of a subtle contrast between the two. He doesn't say my Father and your Father, doesn't make that much of a distinction, but clearly you get the impression that the Father to which Jesus refers when he speaks of the Father with which he is in some kind of relationship is different from the Father that they are in fact following and the one they are hearing. This will, of course, culminate sometime later when he will say to them distinctly, you are of your father the devil. We haven't quite got there yet. We're sort of on the path in that direction, but at this point the statement is still somewhat more subtle.